recording. Hello, I am Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, and welcome to the Success for Women show. Our mission is to help women in their careers, women in business, and women who aspire to become business owners, live their dreams, and reach their goals. You know, in today's modern society, women often face challenges that can sometimes make them feel less of themselves. I understand how it feels to go through tough times. And I also believe as women, we have come too far to quit. This show is dedicated to my mom, Lily Lewis. She was my inspiration, my champion, and my role model growing up. You know, I did not realize at the time that she did not have the same opportunities that women have today. I remember as a child that my mom worked two jobs to keep our household going. My father, during my earlier years, was not around, so she was the sole income source in our home. And I saw the sacrifices that my mom made so that my sister and I could have what we needed. Life was not easy for her, but she always let us know to never give up on your dreams and that you should never quit. So this is what I want women to know. You can do it. You can have a stellar career. You can be the CEO of your own business, and you can have a great life. It just takes faith, perseverance, and a belief in you. So today I want to welcome someone on the show that will just give you some nuggets of wisdom, the things that she's been doing, and how she also works with women and men to help them to move forward and to progress in the things that they're trying to accomplish. So today my guest is none other than the powerful Dr. Stacie N.C. Grant. You know, Dr. Grant is an award-winning international speaker. She's a best-selling author. She's the founder of Destiny Designers University, which is a transformative multimedia empowerment experience and a unique suite of live and self-directed study on every aspect of entrepreneurship, including the signature Faithpreneur Success Curriculum based on Dr. Grant's best-selling book that we are definitely going to get her to tell us about, Action, Action, Despite the Distraction, 7 Life Lessons to Thrive and Live Your Destiny Now. Now, I can go on and on about her background, tell you about her bio, let you know the things that she's accomplished, all her accolades. But I'm going to bring her on so she can tell you about Dr. Stacie N.C. Grant. Welcome to the Success for Women show.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Madeline and Lewis, girl, my stock just went up. I'm on the Success for Women podcast. I thank you so much for having me here today. I just love what you're doing with empowering women. And when you talked about Miss Lily, I could almost just feel her shining down on you because you're honoring your mother by how you live, by how you're sharing some of those life lessons that you observed, some of the ones that she didn't verbally tell you, but you watched. Yes. And those are the things that have guided you and have put you in a position now that you're able to help so many women and just remind us all that we've been given an innate skill and talent. Like all of us are unique. None of us have the same thumbprint, no matter where you go, if you're twins, quadruplets, or triplets. Wow. Each one on this planet has a unique thumbprint. And I believe when we press down on that thumbprint, it's our thank you to God for what he's given us, for the things he's allowed us to do. So it's just my pleasure. Like I love what I do. I love interacting and collaborating and speaking and training. Like, you know, one of my mentors, Les Brown, would say, if you want to check and see if I'm dead, just throw a microphone in the casket. If I don't jump up and start speaking, you know how to hold the story. Yes. So we have a good time today. It's just about adding value. And in the climate that we're living in, if we can't get that memo, we need more than glasses and contact lenses and bifocals. It's
Absolutely.
adding value, and you're adding value with this podcast. And I just salute you and I thank you for bringing me on to be a part of your community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So tell us about Dr. Grant. Stacie, how do you want me to acknowledge? Just tell us about you.
Your sister girl. Look, your sister girl who has found out that you from Louisiana and anybody from the NOLA, they have a special place in my heart because I love me some gumbo. So that's what everybody can know. First of all, y'all got to pray for me because the food spirit.
Oh my goodness.
But I love the fact that God has allowed me to use my voice in a way that helps others see and know that there's more to life. You know, I've had so many titles and so many things that I've done over the years, but the one that I love the most is the Chief Faithpreneur. Okay. So that's what my team, everybody's branding now, the Chief Faithpreneur, because Faithpreneur is how God set me up, Dr. Madeline. I thought I was building business and doing all these unique things to add value or create entrepreneurship. And there was so much to learn. You know, my husband loves a quote that he found years ago that said, "Youth is wasted on the young." I don't know who said the quote. I just know that when I heard him say that, I said, you know, that's so true. Because how many things would we do differently now with the knowledge we have now? Absolutely. 30 years ago. And, you know, we're not going to go up the ladder till how old we are. But the reality of it, as women, we've been blessed to be the caretakers, to be the first nourishment that a life receives to come in this world, the way that God orchestrated our bodies for those who give birth physically and those who give birth spiritually. Because being a mother figure, an aunt, a godmother, those are all important roles in the life of the development of a child. And we pray that each person who's blessed to have a child understands that blessing, but not everybody does, right? So I'm always sensitive to the fact that just because you give birth doesn't make you a great mother. And just because you haven't given birth doesn't make you not a good mother figure. So the blessing that we have to be able to produce life gives us some special skills, some special talents that we have an intuitive nature that, for me, is the Holy Spirit speaking to you on the things that you can do to make somebody's life better. And ultimately in business, if you're not adding value, if you're not creating products, programs, resources that are solving problems and helping people to live a better life, then what are you really doing? And God set me up because I thought that in addition to the things he allowed me to do, Faithpreneur was just a way of describing a community that was building and growing in the work that I was doing. And then I protected Faithpreneur and I own the trademark for Faithpreneur. And that's just a sidebar to all the women listening. If you have some intellectual property, get it protected. So when I protected it, I didn't know that God was actually giving me a whole mantle of work. Like leading the movement. I'm like, can we talk? Like, hello? This is a lot. But God doesn't give you more, as we hear. God doesn't give you more than you can bear. He knows the plans he has for you. So faithpreneurs, Dr. Madeline, are faith-based entrepreneurs with a fidelity to God in organizing, managing, and operating their businesses, and faith-based professionals looking to add another stream of income to their personal economy. Because what we found is that there's so many professionals that have these skill sets that are transferable. And that if you can transfer them and structure them in a way that you can create income, you realize that retirement might need to be augmented. And we can see the things that are happening now, and faithpreneurs, just like entrepreneurs, have to have some level of grit and determination. And I always say 2-part cray-cray, because you can't be all together up here if you want to go out and start a business, right? Because most people are comfortable with getting a check, knowing where the check is coming from, knowing that things are consistent, and the idea that you have to go out there and create it, as they say, kill what you eat. It's like, what? How can I do that? But this movement of faithpreneurs that I've been blessed to navigate and usher in resources, understanding how to leverage relationships so that we can build that revenue for sustainable, long-term residual income and create that legacy. That's powerful because so many of us didn't get it right the first time. I don't know about everybody else listening, but I'm
yes.
sure not from the perfect tribe.
Absolutely.
I made tons of expensive learning curves. That's what I call them instead of mistakes. But for faithpreneurs, we realize that in the plan God has for us, there's also lessons to learn.
Absolutely.
And there are also things that we have to go through so that we can help the other people we are predestined and assigned to. So nothing is wasted. The most difficult and most challenging situation will still yield and bring forth new opportunities and new ways of doing it. Because then when you do it wrong, you know what not to do.
Oh, yes.
And it helps you move in a direction of productivity. And that is what my mission is right now. Now I'm clear. I was a little resistant. I was like, Lord, you can give this to somebody else. You sure you want to give it to me? Because you know my situation. I'm not all the way perfect. I still have some things I'm working through. But God looks past our faults and he sees what he's placed in us. Mark Batterson, the author of Draw the Circle, he has a quote in his book that I just love. He says, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And I think that is just so powerful for us to understand as we move through this thing called life. We're not moving according to man's timelines. And I'm speaking to my faithpreneurs. We're moving according to the speed of purpose, the purpose that God has put on our lives. So yes, you might have a dream. You might have a goal and a desire. And this is where I got stuck, Dr. Madeline, because everything tells us in conventional business and wisdom, you know, you write your goals down, you plan it out. You're going to do this by age 20, this by age 25, this by age 30. And there's nothing wrong with goal planning. But for faithpreneurs, where we shift is in our prayer, we say, Lord, what is your will for our lives? Because when we're orchestrating, when we're planning, and when we're doing, that's our own hubris. We're the ones that feel that we're in control of everything. Like, we're going to make the millions, we're going to change the world. And that language just needs to shift so that God can do what he wants to do in us. And when we surrender and say, let your will be done, not mine, all of a sudden, providence rolls in. All of a sudden, things start moving in a different direction that you couldn't have controlled. And that's where you say, well, but God, only God could have done that. Like, how in the world am I in this position? How in the world is my company right now the facilitator for a $19 billion JFK redevelopment project? I had no idea that was being lined up for me, but God knows the plans he has for you. Absolutely. And if you stay obedient and if you keep moving, even when you come up against adversity, even when you come up against challenge, you're able to hold on to his unchanging hands. Because what we're seeing going on in the world right now, no man can figure out how soon it will end, what it will look like. All we can do is trust what we know. And for faithpreneurs, and why, Dr. Madeline, I'm not for everybody. Not everybody's going to hear my voice. Not everybody's going to resonate with my message. And that's fine, because I'm not here for them. Yes. But I'm here for the people who understand and need to be reminded that in this season, acknowledge what you see. Know that people are going through rough times. Know that the volume of trauma that we're seeing is unprecedented. I'm not one of those people to pretend it's not happening. But while you acknowledge what you see, trust what you know. And what you know is that you've come this far by faith. What you know is that hard times and trouble don't last always. What you know is that the same God of yesterday is the same God of today and the same God of tomorrow. So the things that we have seen him pull his people through, he will pull us through again. But as faithpreneurs, our job is to be his hands and feet on earth. Our job is to not be paralyzed by fear, but to keep moving in action. Action is the antidote to all of what we see going on. Action is the antidote to fear, to anxiety, to depression, all the things that can pull us back. Because when you start moving, you build momentum. When you start moving, you stretch your capacity. When you start moving, you build your stamina. So that's why my book has become a battle cry for my faithpreneurs. Action, action, despite the distraction. And I don't think in our lived lifetime, we've seen any distractions like the ones we see now. Absolutely. So God gave me a foreshadowing years ago when this book was published, how appropriate for such a time as this to remind people to keep moving. Dr. Madeline, you could have said, well, there's so much going on, we're going to pause the podcast. No, You're moving, you're bringing women on this platform to share with other women. You know, my faithpreneurs are faith-based, not gender-based. So we have 90% women, 10% men, because my men will have an attitude if I leave them out of the equation. But how powerful it is to be in community and collaboration. We can't do this thing called life alone. We can try.
Yeah.
But why do that when God has placed us in families and in communities, in places of worship for a reason, so that we can be strengthened through the dark hours, that we can be encouraged when it seems like dawn is not coming, when we can stand on what we know. And what we know is that God said his word would never return unto him void. But here's the memo, Dr. Madeline. Some people only read the 23rd Psalm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And there's a little bit more in the Bible. Right? You got to make it.
All right now.
Right? You got to make it through to see that this is the foreshadowing of things to come. So we can't fall apart now. We have to put on the whole armor, not pieces of armor. And when we show up in business right now, I'm clear about the mission for faithpreneurs to get our houses in order.
Absolutely.
Right? To clean up situations with our finances, to clean up our health, to clean up what we focus on spiritually, to clean up what we learn and expand mentally. Those are the 4 components of Destiny Designers University: mental, spiritual, financial, and physical. The 4 areas that I have to keep myself honest on every day. Is it easy? No, I'm not perfect. I wish I could watch everybody else work out and the weight fall off of me. But it ain't quite work out that way, right?
That's
you gotta
right.
do something. You gotta drink your water. You have to move. And we know what we need to do. But sometimes when we're in that process of taking that step, you need somebody to push you.
Yes.
Because you know you need to do it. But if you don't have the company, if you're not in community, if you don't have someone holding you accountable, you get stuck. And my mission right now is to get everybody out of this place of being stuck in the valley of procrastination and move to the mountaintop of completion. That understanding that it's now or never, your dreams can't wait. That's one of our signature courses that we relaunched our Destiny Designers platform with, because we launched in 2014. We had the site get hacked, crash. We've had changes of people on staff. There were all sorts of reasons for me to quit. I knew what God gave me, and I kept taking action. And I live what I share, right? It's not inconsistent or incongruent. I have no cognitive dissonance with the things that I share on any platform, because this is who I am and this is what I live. So to be able to share that and to be able to be here with you is an exciting opportunity to just inspire somebody that's listening. Get up and move. Do something.
Absolutely.
Just stop sitting there feeling sorry about yourself. One of the things that I know for sure, listening to the news 24/7 will drive you out of your mind, even if you're the sanest person on the planet. It's just too much.
It's too much.
It's overload. So take your moments where you check in so you can be aware of what's happening.
Absolutely.
But then unplug and focus on the things that you're in control of. What are you in control of, Dr. Madeline? You're in control of what you say yes to every day. You're in control of what you read. You're in control of what you listen to. You're in control of what you produce. You're in control of revenue opportunities. You're in control of collaborations. You're in control of joint ventures. There's so much that you are in control of. And that control is really that surrender to say, God, help me do the things you want me to do.
Absolutely.
Let me not just be around here being busy, because I've done that. I've done the busy and broke, right? I've done the running around trying to help save the world, and I don't have $1 to show for it, or somebody want to give me, you know, a cup of lemonade and a piece of cake. I'm like, girl, that was so good. Can I keep it, as the kids would say, 100?
Oh my goodness, that is. I mean, you are just, it's just so much truth. I'm just hearing all these words of wisdom, these excellent nuggets that you're putting out there to the listeners. And I tell you what, when you say about just move, you know, you have to move, you know, there are things that you need to do, even what's going on around you. You can't just look at it and go into a bubble and be fearful. And you have to move, you have to come out of your comfort zone, so to speak. So I really thank you for sharing that with my audience. So I'm going to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to give them one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
Oh, that is a phenomenal question. Clearly, you see, I love to talk. You can't give a speaker a microphone because the advice will go on, girl. We'll be here till this time next year. But the one that I share the most
Mm-hmm.
is from my book. It's the second life lesson. And that life lesson is it's not about being perfect. It's about getting started so you have something to perfect.
Okay.
So that lesson in and of itself, and I'll repeat it again, it's not about being perfect. It's about getting started so you have something to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get started, you'll never know where you can go. You're not honoring what God has given you. You're not trusting that you have everything you need to take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
I use an example in the book, and I share it on platforms, that there's a certain piece of equipment that's named after a fruit. I'm not going to say the name because they're not sponsoring this particular podcast.
Okay.
But every single year, they come out with multiple versions of their product. And people stand on lines from here to Timbuktu, waiting for this new release. And inevitably, it's not perfect. There is some sort of fix, some sort of new release, some sort of update that has to happen in order for it to function at its optimum level. And if they can still charge at a premium for this product, still release it with imperfections, what are you sitting around waiting for?
Absolutely.
Until you move and get started, you won't be able to perfect it. When we launched Destiny Designers University, it wasn't perfect. We had a great idea of what we wanted, and it was awesome. Like, I still look back to that launch day as just incredible. I went almost 24 hours straight, speaking, talking, not eating, because it was just such an excitement of what we were doing. Because the thing that you were destined to do, it'll wake you up in the middle of the night. You will jump up and do it in the middle of the ocean, because that's just how passionate you are about it. And then you'll refine it along the way. There's lessons that we've learned. There are things that we've added. There are pieces that we know could add more value. But if I didn't start, I wouldn't be in a position in a time such as this to already have had a virtual platform that can teach and train and add value. I would just be scrambling to pivot and figure out what's next. Whatever you're working on and whatever you're seeking, it's also seeking you. But you have to move and do something about it. So don't wait about this idea and notion of perfection. You hear people talk about being paralyzed by perfection. While you're doing all of that, somebody else is out there executing. Somebody else is moving on an idea or a goal or a dream. My son came to me the other day, "Mom," I'm like, "What happened?" Because, my kid's a little theatrical. I don't know. I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "Somebody took our idea." And I said, "Which one, son?" And we had this idea years ago. We would laugh about it, that we would own a restaurant that after you eat, the chairs would convert into beds so you could take a nap when the itis kicks in.
Okay.
We talked, when I say years ago, we talked about it. And somebody has a version of that idea. My son was so upset. He was like, "I can't believe they took our idea." Oh, I believe it, because we were just talking about it. We weren't doing it.
You didn't implement
and
it.
while you're talking, somebody else is doing.
Yes.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about getting started so you have something to perfect. So I really hope that your audience today, they're inspired to move in a different direction with volume and velocity towards their goals and dreams. They tune into this podcast because of the rich content that you share, the guests that you allow to come and partake in this wonderful dialogue. But it's not enough to just hear it. You have to do it.
Yes.
So I hope that you're inspired to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And please tell the listeners how they can reach out to you, especially tell them how they can get your book, Action, Despite the Distractions, 7 Life Lessons to Thrive and Live Your Destiny Now. Let us know how we can get the book, how we can reach out to you.
Well, I appreciate that. And thank you, Dr. Madeline, once again for having me on your show. I wish you continued success. YourTheBomb.com. Keep shining and keep bringing that value to the world. And on a side note, you better send me some gumbo. But anyway, but as far as connecting with me, I'm all over social media, but I want to give your audience a gift. If they go to actionbook.com, that's actionbook.com, they can get the first chapter of the book and download it. That first chapter is Faith is an Action Word. So you can go to actionbook.com. There you can purchase the book as well, but you get that free chapter as a gift for being here with Dr. Madeline and the Successful Women podcast. And my social media handles are there, and it will also lead you to our Destiny Designers University if you're so inclined to find out about our courses and our offerings. But actionbook.com is a great place to start. You can also send me a message there, and I'm Dr. Stacie NC Grant on Facebook, and on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, it's at Stacie NC Grant. So you can find me or Destiny Design You, either one. I'm what they say, Googleicious. So you Google me.
Oh my
You
goodness.
can find all the different ways to stay connected. And clearly, I need your prayers. Y'all can see that, some of the synapses might be stuck. So keep a sister in prayer. But thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure just hugging you all virtually. And so grateful that we have these platforms that we connect with wonderful women like all of you. So Dr. Madeline, God bless you in your work. Continue to just be the blessing that you are. And I look forward to eating my gumbo. Amen.
Well, thank you for being on the show. It's been, it has definitely been enlightening. It's been a pleasure to have you here. You have been listening to the Successful Women show. And this is Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis. I'm your host. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can go to www.exwsi.com. That's my website. And while you're there, you can also download my free 3-part video series on 3 things every woman should do to position herself for executive leadership before you have the title. If you'd like to email me, my email address is info@exwsi.com. Again, I want to thank my guest, Dr. Stacie NC Grant, for being on the show and bringing us such words of wisdom, such brilliant nuggets that she has given us. This has been an exciting show. Please go to her website, www.actionbook.com, and download that free first chapter, correct? On faith and action in action word, right? Did I get that right? Okay. Make sure you go and do that. You're going to love it. You're going to love her. I love her. And I really appreciate her being on the show. Thank you for joining us today. Come back again when we bring you another brilliant success nugget, powerhouse figure, such as we've had today. Again, join us for the Successful Women show. And we will be back again to bring you another exciting guest to hopefully get you on this path to success. And this is what this show is doing. We're helping women to accelerate the path to success. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great day. Stay well. Be safe out there.